Hello BookTube, I'm Scott.
And now
We are Gunpowder, Fiction and Plot. And remember to subscribe to our videos, like and comment on this because we
bell.
never remember to say that stuff at the end of the video, so we should get it in now.
Yeah.
Anyway, this video is going to be dedicated to John Steinbeck.
I'm sure he'll notice.
Yeah, I think he should be grateful for our approval.
And attention.
And attention. Yeah, John Steinbeck, get up and say thank you. Anyway, I thought there are, there's a few authors that don't get spoken about a lot on BookTube because they fall into the gaps of what people are, reading or something.
You did not. You thought, we both really like Steinbeck, so let's wank on about him.
Oh yeah, I thought we should, if we both like an author, we should discuss it. And one of our all-time favourite books on both of our lists is East of Eden.
Yes, for sure.
So I thought we should discuss Steinbeck. Now, I've not read all of Steinbeck's novels. I thought I'd check to see how close I was before we made this video.
Yeah, I thought I was closer than I am.
And bloody hell, he's prolific.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd written as much as he has.
Now, we've read 4. You've read 4 and I've read 5, and they're the same 4, and I'm just one ahead of you. I have to say that the one that I have read of his that you haven't read is by far his least enjoyable novel that I have read.
Right.
So we've both read Of Mice and Men, we've both read East of Eden, we've already said, we've both read Grapes of Wrath, we've both read The Pearl, and we've both read Cannery Road.
No, I've not read Cannery
Sorry, I've read
Just-
Cannery Road. So, I thought we should discuss why we like Steinbeck. Let's quickly discuss his novels and why they're good. I think probably if you've not read any Steinbeck, probably the best place to start is Of Mice and Men because it's short. It's not necessarily his best one.
No, but I think
it's a good sample.
I think if you like Of Mice and Men's sparse style, then it gives you a good flavour for his writing.
Yes.
And his tendency to repeatedly beat you with the themes.
Yes. This is something I love about Steinbeck. You're not going to die wondering about what he's trying to say. He's
No.
going to smack you in the face until he's broken your nose.
Yes.
And-
You will understand that the underlying theme is
Yeah.
he's not obtuse about it.
Of Mice and Men tells the story of 2 men who are going from town to town looking for work.
Itinerant workers in the Depression.
One of the men is a little bit mentally challenged and does things that he shouldn't do, and that the other man looks after him, and it's about the responsibilities of those men towards each other and themselves, and there's a lot of themes about friendship and love and
Yeah, and what that means.
other stuff that would be spoilers if you haven't read the book.
It's a book that makes me cry without fail every time. It is
Yeah, it's definitely one of the saddest books that you will read.
it is very emotionally impactful. But it's an interesting storyline with lots to think about, I guess.
Yeah.
Social commentary and all that.
Yeah, will there be rabbits?
One of the things that I really like about Steinbeck, and it's really true in this book as it is in his longer novels, is he can bring to life the scenery of this region that he has a tendency to write in just so perfectly. Most of his books are set in and around Salinas in California. And I've actually been there because I'm such a Steinbeck fan that when we were in California, I was like, let's go look at that. Not we.
I've
me
never
and
been to
other
the
people.
States, unfortunately.
So I drove through Salinas one sunrise, and it was
At sunrise.
sunrise. And it was everything he said it would be. It was beautiful. So
Is there a big Steinbeck sign, like, you're driving into Salinas, the home of John Steinbeck.
Not in the bit that we went through.
Oh,
But
Salinas, you should celebrate Steinbeck more.
yeah. Definitely, if there had been some kind of Steinbeck attraction, we would have stopped and spent money, rather than just driving through and going, "Oh my god, it looks exactly how I pictured it."
Yeah.
Taking some photos and getting back on the road.
All right. Well, then the next Steinbeck novel that is quite famous is The Grapes of Wrath. The Grapes of Wrath details one family's struggle during the Great Depression and their struggle to get work and essentially to get food.
Yeah, he likes a bit of the depression, doesn't he?
He's there's comparableness to Hardy in Steinbeck's work, particularly in Of Mice and Men, I would say, actually. But you can see they're very different writers, but
Yeah, but there's a lyrical nature to the way that they write, and there's a tragedy to the way they, I think, view the world.
I think if you like,
rather than necessarily write.
If you like Hardy for the reasons I like Hardy, you will like Steinbeck.
Yeah, I can see the parallels. They're not by any stretch the same writer, but
yes, their writing style is completely different.
Anyway, Grapes of Wrath.
But essentially this is about the Great Depression, and this is another sad novel. I mean, is there a happy Steinbeck novel? No. And this novel uses, maybe not as much as East of Eden, but uses...
He's into a bit of allegory.
Yeah, a lot of... And religious allegory, especially the ending, that scene of... Is it Rachel in the Bible that does that? I'm not actually sure who did that, but one of his favourite techniques there.
Yeah.
That's probably, for me, his third best book.
I don't rank books, but it was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, you don't rank books, but we'll agree that East of Eden is his best book, yeah? I mean... Sorry, you really struggle with that.
You asked me, I don't rank books. I find it very difficult to create best of lists, and then you try and hold me to them like they're,
like they're your opinions.
He's so annoying.
East of Eden is a novel about a family, about two brothers, about
Cain and Abel, and
Lilith and Adam.
Yeah.
Who is called Adam.
Yeah.
East of Eden has the best villain of any book I have ever read, bar none, flat out, the best villain. Easily.
I loved East of Eden.
Yeah.
A lot. The movie does not do it justice. The book is...
Movies seldom do.
Yeah, I know, but it's just, there's some of them that you just... You couldn't.
Some are closer to other, but the thing is, East of Eden's a thick book.
Yeah,
and
you couldn't make a movie that is... You'd have to make a series, and it'd have to have like several seasons.
Yeah. And the main character shouldn't appear in the first season.
No, exactly.
This is something that I like Steinbeck does. He often goes back quite a long way before starting his novels, and that seems wanky when other authors do
it seems important when he does it.
Yeah.
And I often wonder if it's because his language is so sparse, you feel like his storyline must be pared back.
It's very Freudian in his psychology there. It's, if you've ever been to counselling, one of the first questions a counsellor will ask you is, what are your parents like? Tell me about your mum, tell me about your dad. And
I mean, speak for yourself, but yes.
But it's like it's a common technique, to understand somebody.
Yeah.
And Steinbeck is sort of tipping his hat to that with how he starts East of Eden.
I definitely think that there's the idea of like generational legacy and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the techniques that Steinbeck uses, because what I think that Steinbeck does, and I know you agree with this, is all of the literary techniques, Steinbeck uses them. And if you don't get it when he foreshadows, then you get it when he allegories, and it's...
Yeah, he definitely echoes the same images and themes over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
And this leads to what I like. It almost makes him a Marmite author, because some people like that, and other people find him a little bit repetitive.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who happens to be an English teacher, who was like, Steinbeck is sort of... the implication was almost too easy. And I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather read a book that's themes are easy than, like watch The Simpsons. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm choosing my entertainment, I'd rather it be...
Sometimes easy doesn't mean easy, like...
And just because it's easy, like, just because it's obvious doesn't mean it's worth less than a less obvious theme. Like,
when the novel's easy, the English student has to work harder to get an A. Like...
I just feel like it... the idea that it has to be of a certain level of difficulty is a weird sort of literary snobbery.
I mean, I've compared Steinbeck to one of my favourites, Hardy, but I will compare him to another author that I quite like. I quite like comparing him to Orwell, in that his language is very simple. Orwell's very good with simple language as well. They have that, like, they're not writing for the educated, they're writing for the common person, but then they're not treating you like a dummy either.
Yeah, just because you like accessible writing doesn't mean you're a moron. And I think that's super true.
Yeah, and especially, now if we look at BookTube now, the amount of booktubers who are booktubing in English who are not English as a first language speakers,
Yeah, and the amount of booktubers who choose their books by the colour of the cover and have literary degrees.
Yes. I'm reading middle grade and I've got a master's in English.
That's it.
Like...
I just think... I think the internet and the democratization of information has really changed the way a lot of people look at knowledge, and a lot of the gatekeeping and the snobbery is thank God dying out of the culture.
Yeah, and if you're snobbish if you just don't like Steinbeck because you don't like Steinbeck, that's fine. But if you're snobbish towards Steinbeck, that's...
Maybe we need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that you should probably do before you read Steinbeck is read the Bible.
Yeah, I definitely found having read the Bible beforehand helped a lot.
Now, I haven't read the Bible beforehand, but a lot of Steinbeck's references are to a relatively well, like...
If you went to church as a kid.
If you had any interest at all in any form of religion, like, do you know the story of the Tower of Babel? Do you know the story of Cain and Abel? Do you know, like, these religious stories that are in the Bible?
Yeah. I think you know them because you went to church as a kid. Because I did not go to church as a kid, and I did not know those stories until I read the Bible.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, I think that, I
And I went to a religious school.
I didn't go to church very often as a kid, so I don't think that's... But I think that I had an interest in mythology and an internet connection and Wikipedia, so there is that. But I think that, like, we're not talking about the obscure passages here. We're talking about
the stories.
Lazarus. We're talking about stories that if you don't know, you can look them up, and yeah. So Cliff Notes version of the Bible is fine. You don't have to read the whole chonker.
No, you don't. I also used to have like a like a reference Bible. I think it was actually called a reference Bible. And it started with an index of terms.
Yeah.
So you could look things up by allusion or image or person's name or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think something like that is really helpful if you're not knowledgeable about religion and you're reading someone who uses allegory as richly as Steinbeck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing he does is he foreshadows. He foreshadows very hard.
Yes.
To
the point where a plot will actually be repeated as a subplot or foreshadowed as a subplot. He really does echo his own plots over and over and over again so that you don't miss it.
And it's another reason why he reminds me of Hardy as well. But yeah. And he does it well, and
yeah, it's not out of character for his characters, and it's not unrealistic or unbelievable or and it's always done in a way that creates a sense of dread or like an emotional response.
Yeah. He does everything, but I mean, his writing is crisp. He definitely foreshadows. He definitely uses allegory. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that he does?
No, I think he's masterful with creating an image, and I think that's not just limited to setting. It's also when he's creating thematic imagery throughout his novels, it's very vivid, and I really, that's one of the major reasons why I like reading Steinbeck.
I think the last thing I think that he does quite well is I like the characters he creates. He creates, I don't want to say who the villain is in East of Eden, but I think it might be relatively obvious from a pretty early point. But I don't know what a spoiler is.
Yeah, I don't think you should say names. But the villain in East of Eden is an exceptionally well-drawn villain. Yes.
And Lenny and George in Of Mice and Men.
Oh, so good.
Those characters, you know who they are.
And like when you look at Of Mice and Men, what is it, like 150 pages or something? Like it's such a tiny novella.
It's a very short novel. Yeah.
To draw those characters so well in so few words, it's a skill.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we've gushed a bit about Steinbeck.
What do you think? Have you read any of the things that we haven't read? What have you read that we have read? Tell us.
Yeah, I'd love to know. I'd love to know if you have read Steinbeck prolifically.
Yeah, anyone completed?
Yeah, is Tortilla Flats really good? Like, what is the next best one?
Tell me the things.
To read.
John Steinbeck.
John Steinbeck. He's Steinbeck. I mean, he might be like Hardy. He's his own genre.
I think the word American needs to be in there whenever discussing Steinbeck. He's very American.
I think he's the greatest American author that ever lived. That's my
argue with Scott's claim.
Argue with my claim. Better than Twain. Better than the other good ones.
Scott doesn't like Americans.
No, I do like American authors. I'm just trying to think of who are like the...
Yeah.
Better than Hemingway. Shits on Hemingway. Shits on Faulkner. There we go.
Hopefully not literally.
Yeah. In the afterlife. Anyway, that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.
Bye.